According to my time,
Recording in progress.
start the recording. I just want everybody to know John McDonald was not going to be here today, so I'll be chairing the meeting today. I'll read the agenda, and we need to make changes or adjustments to it. We can do that at that particular time. After that, today's meeting, we have, which you're calling the order. We have welcome comments from the public. We got consent agenda for minutes, payroll, and vendor warrants. We have cash flow, revenue, expenses, and treasury report. Committee reports, if there are any action items, ballot warning, awards, a bus bid, and Robert May has an adult education update, chair's report, and superintendent's report, and any others. You now heard what the agenda is for this morning. The order is to follow in that manner unless we have to have a change or we want to add something to it. I'm listening. I see no verbal appearance of a change, hear none from Fran. So with that in mind, I wanted to, we'll start with the welcoming for any public comments or anyone, if there are any out there. And I don't see anything for a public comment from anybody. So we have none. We'll go on. The next item was the consent agenda. And so the first item is the RGB minutes from Monday, December the 13th. They were attached.
I'll move them.
Second.
Fran moved and they were seconded by Anthony. Are there any questions about the minutes as written and provided to the board dated December 13th, 2021? I see no indication. Well, oh, that's not, yeah, that's my own hand. I see no comments from anyone. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstention? Abstaining? None. Oh, the ayes have them. All minutes are as presented. Next, we have payroll warrant 1020.
And
Ken Swear has moved the minutes, payroll warrants 1020. Give me a second.
It's 1021, and I'll second it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said 1021 the first time. 1021. Fran,
Okay.
second.
Yeah.
There any questions or any items of concern or comments by the items on warrant 1021? Seeing none and hearing none, all in favor of the of the warrant 1021, aye.
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 Any opposed? Or any abstain? None. Thank you. The next item on the payroll warrant is number 1023. The motion?
I'll move it.
Fran moved. Second. Ken. Are there any questions or concerns with any of the items listed on payroll warrant 1023? Seeing none and hearing none, all in favor of the minutes, the payroll warrants 1023 as written and provided by ayes?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? None. Anybody abstaining? None. So the payroll warrant 1023 is approved as written. We have vendor warrant 1022 attached for review.
I'll move it.
Move it by
Second.
Fran and second by Ken. Time for discussion. Any items up for discussion of 1022?
I had just a question, wondering what the annual audit report consists of.
Okay, so the person that's speaking is Anthony, and he has a question about the audit report. You know what number or line it is?
I can, without even looking at the line number, if you don't mind, I could answer that question.
Okay, we can have a Rebecca answer the question without looking at the line. And I'm repeating that for the general public that may be out there listening.
It is on page 6 where it says Bonadeo and Company Annual Audit Report. By law, we have to have our accounting financial records audited every single year. And then the audit, the results of the audit and the information provided by the auditors after they've completed it is available for review for the board. And it also, some of the information appears in the annual report each year. So by law, we have to have this done. So that is part of a payment for Bonadeo and Company to do our yearly audit. That's just one payment. You will see it in several different warrants because we get billed along the way. This is for FY21 school year that just finished. Every year this will take place. So every year around this time, you will see invoices for the audit. And this audit gets turned into the state. We have a deadline where that has to be turned in. And it will be, once it's compiled by Bonadeo, it will be available and presented with copies for the board if they want to review it. Anthony, does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, are there any other questions concerning vendor warrant, payroll warrant 1022? I'm seeing none and I'm hearing none. So are we all ready to vote? All in favor of approving the vendor warrant 1022 by stating aye?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Don't see any, anyone abstaining. No extensions. The vendor warrant is passed as written. The next item for FYI is cash flow revenue expenses and treasurer's report.
Excuse me,
I'll
Leon.
move that.
Leon,
Yes.
may
Fran?
I ask if you would like to approve the superintendent's evaluation minutes? They were included in your packet.
And that was part of the minutes for December 13th.
Right, but they weren't put on the agenda for approval at that time, and you asked that we put it on the agenda for approval by your board.
Yes, I'm trying to say, I was thinking that everything that we did and stated for that date in terms of minutes, what should have been included in there all at the same time.
They all are included. It's just the notes on the evaluation committee just appear separately, but they are part of the same meeting. So
Right, and that's what I was still pulling it out separate. And we can have some discussion. Does anybody think they needed to have another discussion about the approval of those minutes? I mean, we got the public out here, and what we're saying is part of the minutes from December 13, which included the superintendent's evaluation summary, were approved, and I'm thinking that would be sufficient. Anyone?
I'd have to agree with you, Leon, but if you need another motion, I'll make the motion to approve those separately, I guess.
Okay, I'm looking, I don't hear anybody else saying anything, so we'll move as as,
Second it. I'll second it.
yeah, what, I mean, we was asking, the discussion was, do we need to break them out and approve them separate?
I'd say no.
And so there's no no's, no one else is saying yes, it's just a comment was being made. So as a result of that, the minutes will be approved and as provided for December 13, which includes the superintendent's evaluation result.
Okay.
All right, thank you. The next item, thank you, Sandy.
You're
Cash-
welcome.
Yes, cash flow, revenue, and expense treasurer's report was included. And do we have any questions about that? If not, I think this is just an FYI one here. Is that correct?
Okay.
And
Yes, they're just here for FYI.
that's all. And we don't need to vote on it, just to know whether anybody had any questions, or anything along that line.
Okay.
Okay, no questions or comments along that line. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, committee reports. I'll just take a stab out here in terms of that. With all the things going on in the tech center in terms of the water damage that was out there, we were attempting to try to at least start getting some policy committees and some other committees up and going. And we wasn't able to do that in December. And I don't know whether we'll have time to try to work in one in January because of all the disarray. But for those that are out there, we and chairman of the committees, if we need to try to work one in, we'll do whatever's necessary, but they would have to be virtual like we are now because of the billings stipulations in terms of where all the things are located. And we don't have a real public place to meet at, and so they would be virtual. That's what I wanted to say about committee reports. Do anyone else have a comment about committee reports?
I have a comment, and
Jackie?
Sandy asked me if I would be available on February 1st. I have a commitment or a tentative commitment for a full day, but I can be available on the 31st of January if we wanted to cover February, especially since it's remote. I think it's the 31st. Yeah, Monday.
The 31st is a Monday. In the morning, we can try having a meeting. What meeting you wanted to have that way? The policy meeting, education committee meeting?
That's an education committee meeting that Sandy thought we needed.
I asked for an education committee meeting for Sandy to arrange that, so.
Okay, I also, I mean, I'm saying what we needed to do is also have a general policy committee. I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time on it, but we need to cover some basic ground rule activities, things along that line. So if we could, I don't know who all is available. We could piggyback on that January 31st date. Normally you're looking for Jackie, Mike, 10 o'clock, and you saying I spent an hour, and I believe the attorney was available at 11 o'clock along that line to discuss policy procedures. Why don't we try that? And if it don't fly, it just won't fly. But we need to move in some form or fashion. Okay, so education set January 31st, 10 o'clock. We'll put a policy meeting in for 11 o'clock, and we'll see whether that goes when everybody can reply to that.
And Leon, just so I'm clear on that, we're looking for an Ed and Policy Committee meeting on Monday, January 31st. The education at 10 and policy at 11. That's what we're shooting for.
That's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure everyone knew that. Thank you.
Any other comments about the committee reports? I didn't, that was just, oh, something. All right, action items. Sandy had put a notation in the, well, we'll go with the ballot warning. Is the first item up,
And that's going to go to Becky.
and that's gonna go to Becky. Okay.
Yes, so what I'd like to do is share my screen if I can. We'll see if I have the. Mike, would you be able to give me permissions to share my screen?
I just did.
Okay, thank you. Can you see, and I'll make it larger, but can you see now this sort of warning of the annual meeting on your screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason it wasn't prepared earlier, I mean, it was done and it's still not complete. Typically, and you will see, I have two different warnings here. Here's one, because when I was preparing it last week, the floor meeting was still going to be in person. So this warning was set up for February 28th for the floor meeting and March 1st, the election. And the board always has to approve the ballot warning before I turn it into the town clerk's office in Bennington. In the middle of last week, the legislature was discussing the possibility, and a bill was proposed to allow the floor meeting to once again take place remotely. So instead of being in person, they were voting on the ability to do Zoom like we did last year. Last Wednesday, the House had passed that bill. The last I knew, Thursday or Friday, the Senate had passed the bill and it is sitting on the governor's desk. They anticipate the governor signing this, which will allow the floor meeting to take place in person, or the floor meeting to take place via Zoom instead of being in person. So I cannot complete this warning with a couple of pieces of information. I do not have a link. So if it is in Zoom, I need to wait until the town discusses and decides on the link that will be used. And I do not have a time. Last year, it was 6:30, just like as if we were there in person. I am assuming it will be 6:30 again. And I'm assuming that they're going to move to a Zoom meeting just because of safety factors. So what I am bringing to the board is I am asking if you can approve the language of the warning with the items that are in this ballot and allow me to fill in just these two spots once they're confirmed. And at that point, I will send it out to all members to sign. I'm not going to ask you to sign it until it is complete, but everything else will not be changed. So if we take a look at the items, just so that you understand what's part of this ballot, it's to establish the salaries for the board, $1,000 each. The annual salary for the treasurer, which has been for many years, $14,200. The annual salary of the district clerk, which is the town clerk, is our district clerk as well, $1,200. The assistant district clerk, which assists her at the town office, $600. The district moderator, all he asks for is $10, and 9 times out of 10, he won't even cash that check, but he doesn't want anything more than $10. This is Article 6 is always in the ballot. If for some reason we have revenues that we expect, say from tuition, but the schools haven't paid us and we have expenses we still need to pay, It authorizes us, if we need to borrow funds against the fact that we will have that money coming in. We haven't authorized this in the, I don't know if it's ever been authorized, but I know in my time it has not been, but it's in there to allow us that ability. So that's an article that's voted on. To hold a public informational hearing on the articles that will be voted on, which means to have that floor meeting that is public. To transact any other business found proper. Also, Article A, we have 4 RGB board members who are up for reelection. So Article A is to elect 4 school directors who are legal residents of the service region for our school, Southwest Vermont Regional Technical School District. And the term for each of these 4 positions is 3 years. The last I talked with the town clerk, they are still requiring signatures for this. It was supposed to be considered in part of the bill that was presented, but when I read in the banner, I think on Sunday, on the online banner, it said that it was still requiring signatures. So if you are up for reelection, you want to consider the fact that you need to get those signatures still. To elect a moderator for a 3-year term, our current moderator is up for reelection. To elect a treasurer for a term of 3 years, our current treasurer is also up for election. And our clerk for the school, which right now is held by the Bennington Town Clerk, that position is up for 3 years, so up for reelection. Article E is the budget that the school board already approved, which is the $4,227,688. And then Article F, as we discussed, to allow reserve funds for capital improvements of 60,000 and reserve funds for equipment of 20,000. It has to be a separate article. It is not part of Article E. It has to be broken out so the voters can approve whether or not we include that. And then the dates, right now, the election is March 1st. The bill that went to the House and Senate also included the ability to change the election date. But speaking with the town clerk in Bennington, she does not anticipate that happening. So everything is planned still to be March 1st for the election and February 28th for the floor meeting date. And then the rest of this is, I spoke with town clerks throughout all of our sending districts. And these are just the dates and times that the polling locations, the times they're open. And at the bottom, this is where I will, once it is confirmed and I have the Zoom link, I will send this out to all of you. And this is where I ask that you please check your emails, because I will need this signed and I have a specific date that I have to turn it in to the town clerk. And that's really, there's probably not going to be a big time frame between the time that I get a link and the time that it has to get turned in to the town clerk. Last year, I think I had a day turnaround by the time they decided the link that we would be using. So what I'm asking the board is to approve the warning, understanding that the link and time would be the only things I would be editing, and that the signature would be asked of you once those 2 pieces are in there. The other warning that was prepared was the one that was in person. It has exactly the same things. Again, I don't anticipate it being in person now after speaking with the town clerk, but in case, I have both prepared. So I guess the first thing is, are there any questions about what I presented?
Are there any questions so far of what's
More
been
of a ge-
presented?
This is more
So
of-
I was going to say, well, I can entertain a motion to approve, and that's Asher, to approve the ballot warning without the 2 exact dates and time and Zoom link information to be filled in, included, and that will be filled in once it's been known. Could I get a second for that?
Second.
Second.
Second for Cutler, raise his hand up. Thank you. It's been moved and second. Now, any other discussions concerning the ballot warning?
The general question is the signature to be on the ballot, does that go for all offices that are going to be coming up on March 1st, or is it just for Southwest Tech?
The ballot itself is the signature of the board saying that they approve the warning, the ballot warning as written. The signatures that each RGB member has to acquire is only for those people who are up for election and are running again. If your term is not up, you do not need to acquire any signatures at this time for that. The ballot warning signatures, it will be a document through DocuSign, just like I've done for any other warning that you would need to sign. And it would be just at the bottom of this particular document.
That's correct. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, and seeing none, all in favor of approving the ballot as stated, just aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And anyone abstaining? No. Wait, so the ayes have it. Are you all done, Rebecca? Are you going on to the, you're going to be the next awarding of the school bus bid? Is that,
That's me too.
that's
Yeah.
you too? Okay.
It's all the airtime this morning.
There was a comment to Sandy to everyone for the general public that the information will be coming forth for that to discuss now for the bidding of the board, a bus.
Okay.
Okay, do you need to share screen, share information? There you go.
Sorry, I keep bouncing back and forth, but I brought this to the board in December at the December meeting for the approval of a purchase of a bus. The update, as you can see at the top here, on December 13th, you had approved the request based on the quotes I had received and the analysis that was presented. When I reached out to DATCO that same day, which was the vendor we had chosen, they could not hold the price that they had quoted due to an increase from one of their suppliers, which was Collins. That's who makes the body part for the bus. And they were now charging an increase for the purchase. So to be fair, I reached out to the other vendor as well before bringing it back to the board. And they also could not hold their price. There was an increase from their supplier, which was Bluebird, who does the body of that particular bus. And they also needed to increase their quote. And anybody who is looking for any kind of vehicle realizes that the pricing and the ability to get some of these parts is really challenging. So in speaking with DATCO in particular, because they're the ones that we had selected as our vendor, I went back and forth with them several times, and they reached back out to their, they reached back out to Collins. And at first Collins said, we cannot reduce our increase at all. We need that increase. So DATCO did what they could to try to reduce the price a little bit, and they brought it down some. They went back and forth again, so I went back to them one more time and said, is there anything better that you can do? Because here's the price you originally gave us. And in the end, they ended up only being, because they went and cut some other things, only ended up being $1,000 higher than what I presented to you in December. But to be fair, here are the new dollar amounts for the board to once again approve. And I asked both of them, can you and will you guarantee this price today? If my board approves it and I call you this afternoon, will this price still be firm? And both companies guaranteed me this time that the price I'm presenting to you will not change, because there has not been another increase from their vendor that they deal with. And I confirmed this again on Friday to make sure before I presented it to you today. So Anderson's new price went up to $70,830. Datco only ended up going up $1,000. It ended up being 63. Now, when you approved it in December, it was 62,785. It is now 63,785. It is a Collins body. I'm going to come back to the undercoating in just a moment. It is that 4-camera gatekeeper surveillance system for 2,810. That price did not change. That was the same price I brought to you in December. They now included the heated mirrors. So they took that cost away when they were working with us. It includes the seat belt, and it also includes now a backup camera in there. So they gave us a couple of things that they could cut the price out of for us because it wasn't part of the vendor cost. So they worked with us what they could, and overall it becomes $1,000 more. Going down through, again, it's a type A mini school bus. We would use reserve for equipment to pay for it. I did have a question, and I reached out to Fran about undercoating. And Fran, did you find out anything more about whether or not that $600 would be worth it before we move forward?
Well, I have got a call into a film called Rust Protection. I emailed them and stuff. They haven't contacted me yet. I did talk to Tommy Haskins, and I'm a fan of oiling these buses, okay? But in the long run, I mean, the oil is messy, and you never get rid of it. If you've got to do a repair underneath the buses or something like that, it is a pain in the butt. But there is a thing that I talked with them trying to check on is wool wax. And Tommy, I've got to email them on that. I think that's kind of like that wax oil stuff I talked about before. It's a little bit better, and it's kind of stickier instead of runnier. So I don't know if you have to have that right now today before you get back to these people on the bus bid. I have no idea.
No.
Do you need that information, which way to go?
No, I mean, I could get back to them about the purchase. It's going to take a while for them to build it before they actually get to that point. What I'd like to do is I would like to ask for the board to approve. I still want to go with Datco because of the pricing for one and the different features. What I'd like to do is ask for the board to approve potentially the full amount of $67,195. And if anything, it would be reduced by that $600 if we choose not to go with the undercoating, but asking for the board to approve the full recommendation. And then, you know, Fran, once you find out more, we could decide, and I can contact them at a later date to say, yes, I want to add that piece in, or no, I don't.
Yeah, no, I may know today, but I don't want to promise that. It could be tomorrow, but anyway, I'm on that stuff, so we should be good.
And thank you for looking into that for us, Fran, as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So if you have your color has a question, you want to ask the question before we put it in a motion and have a discussion, or you have a question for Rebecca?
No, I'll make the motion, then we can discuss.
Okay, Mike has moved the motion to award the bus to.
Okay, I'll second it.
And Fran has seconded, as Rebecca indicated, in there with a total price of $67,195, with the possibility of an undercoat being removed out if necessary. So now that motion is right. We have a discussion up.
My question was just, did they say how long that undercoat lasts if they apply it?
Undercoating will last it depends on who puts it on and how they put it on. Right. I've seen over the years, I've seen the Rusty Jones, the wax oil. I've seen all kinds of stuff. The Rusty Jones being the worst of it, because I remember getting Rexon and we cut them apart and there's hardly anything on there that kind of dries too hard and falls off. This stuff is sticky. That's why I want to look into it a little bit more. Oil, by the way, you want to oil them, they'll last forever. You'll be putting motors and transmissions in them before you do any body work on them. But anyway, I think we'll be good. I think we can do away with that 600, but I just got to talk to these people first, and I got certain questions I want to ask them. So,
Yeah, I just wasn't sure what DATCO said, if they had a statement of what they apply and it lasts 10 years before you have to reapply it or whatever. So, thank you.
The only statement they gave me is they told me it was through this Filmco company, and I could
Right.
look on their website and research a little bit more. And they did not give me a time frame as to a guarantee of how long it would last. That's why I
Right.
was reaching out to Fran, and obviously, try, because he obviously knows a lot about it, to try to find more before we spend the 600 there versus finding a vendor up here to do a different type of undercoating.
I've been on the website and I have talked to some other people about it, but I want to talk to this guy, this Mike guy that's, he has an email, which I have done, and I've also called, but getting through there is like trying to get through to probably the government. So, but anyway, I'll follow it up. Like I say, I should have an answer today or tomorrow, so we'll get it done.
Yeah, I would just comment, just the friend is going to follow up, and basically what we're looking for is a yes or no about the $600 to be included, and the details of who and here on where and how many and so forth along that line will be included. We're going to get an undercoat or not get one. So with that in mind, are there any other comments to be made concerning the recommendation? If not, then all in favor of awarding the bid of $67,195 to DECO for the purchase of a bus, vote by aye.
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 Any opposed? And anyone abstaining? Not, the ayes have it. Thank you again for a nice, healthy discussion and approval. The next item, Rebecca said she had them all, but then Rob is down for one. So I saw his name on the agenda.
Saw Rob pop in.
And if we're ready, we can go to him, that is next items on the list.
Well, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to take a couple minutes and give you a quick update on adult technical education in a few months. So, I'll be looking over here at my whiteboard because that's why I have everything listed. So just so you know why I'm doing that. We did have a successful fall. All the courses that were planned ran. As you know, most of adult education courses have a 3-letter acronym, including LNA, which is Nurses System, and we did have that run successfully. We ran a CNC machining class, and we also had a successful commercial driver's license class. So the fall went well. Spring plans, winter spring plans include a couple new courses, which I'll tell you about in a minute. Though we have another LNA class coming up next week. Our CDL class for March is already full, which is great. We have another LNA class coming up in April, and we'll also be running a CNC class in March as well. May's a little up in the air because CNC got moved from May to March. Our instructor had a conflict in May. So we have a full slate. And then we have a couple new programs coming on board as well. We have dental assisting, which is actually already up and running and just looking for some students. The Vermont State Dental Society has been in touch with me and many other tech centers in the state, noting a severe shortage of dental assistants in Vermont. So we are launching that. I'm also launching another program called Step Up to Childcare. As many of you know, there's an acute workforce shortage in the early education field as well. This is another program that many tech centers through their adult education program are launching throughout the state in 2022. We're one of the early adopters of that, and that is starting in February. And then through our partnership with Penn Foster, we're also going to be offering a legal secretary class as well. That is another high needs workforce area in Vermont. In case you're wondering where I get this information about high needs from, this is one of those great documents that the McClure Foundation puts out. And it lists a lot of the top jobs that are high wage. A little closer here, maybe you can read a high wage, high demand jobs in Vermont. And so things that are listed there that don't require a college degree are things that I try and offer here at the Tech Center. And also some of the other things are well-known workforce shortages in Vermont as well. So that is the lineup, the new programs and the fall successes. So any questions on those? I know I went through it quickly, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Asher?
Rob, first of all, I want to say I'm really excited and happy to hear that there's more than one great new program coming to Southwest Tech Adult Education. What I'm wondering is how we in the board can help you to advertise these programs.
Sure, yeah. Most of these programs spread through word of mouth. So the more people you tell about the great options that we have here for workforce training, and just go right to the website and it's right there to learn more about it. There's financial assistance available. So the cost. You should know that 90% of people who enroll in the program don't pay full price. ESAC and other sources cover a lot of the tuition. And they're short term and they're cost effective. So they're an easy way to, I don't say easy, that's not the right word, but they're a great way, to earn a workforce credential that can get you into a higher wage, better job fairly quickly. So word of mouth is the number one thing there, Asher. The more people you tell about it, the more people you refer to the webpage, the more people you refer to me, the better.
Are there any other questions? Ash, you have another one?
Just a quick follow-up question. Have you spoken with Nicole Sauer about getting some social media on our Facebook page and whatever other social media? I'm not sure what other social media we have, but if we could get some graphics that we could share around, I think that might help if nothing else.
Yep, that's one of the standard practices that Nicole and I do for adult education programs. I should tell you, sometimes we don't put things on social media only because some programs enroll and fill right up. And so sometimes what happens is I wind up getting a lot of disappointed people when I have to continue to tell them the programs are full. So I'm strategic about what I put on Facebook. But certainly all these spring's programs will be going on Facebook for shortly. So.
And what about the banner? Just a listing of what's the focus is being placed on, and that you may have an opportunity to further your education in the adult program here at the Southwest Tech.
Yeah, the banner is something we have to look at due to cost. It's incredibly expensive to advertise in the banner, and I need to do more research on determining whether that's our target audience. That's something that we have to look at simply due to the cost.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions for for Rob? That was a quick adult education update.
Thank you, Rob.
Really appreciate you doing this by Zoom for us.
No problem. Talk to you again in a few months.
Thank you.
All right.
The next item on the agenda is the chair's report, and I don't see the chair, so I'll give a little report. That's because John was not here. So Leon is going to say Happy New Year's to everybody. This is our first meeting of the year, and I hope everybody made a good New Year's resolution for us and for yourself and for the Tech Center as a board for this coming year. The next item that I had down was to make sure that Rebecca had mentioned that we had 4 board members that are available for running again this term, and I'm one of them, and I believe Fran is another one. Is that correct?
Yeah.
and I'm not sure who the other two are, but you do have to get the 30 signatures. And I started that process myself. And one way to do it, because we're not meeting virtually out there, is hopefully we have some churchgoers here that you can do that. You can go attend at least outside of a basketball game or something that's going on right now to meet some people, or you may have to just walk down Main Street to meet some people in your area to get the 30 signatures.
Leon,
Yes, Rebecca, next.
just for the record, the 4 RGB members up for reelection are Leon, Ken, Fran, and Art. And it's my understanding that at this point, I know 1 member is not running again. But I don't know about all 4 of you, where you stand. But those are the 4 up for reelection at this point.
Yes, I was just giving them an opportunity to state whether they was going to be doing it or not. And I know I was, and I know Fran was, because we're signing each other's signatures. And so then to put someone on the spot, you still have time to make that decision or not, but to go down to the town clerk's office and get the forms if you are planned on it. It would be great if you let Mike and Sandy know that you're not going to be running, and we can try to make sure that somebody in that district is going out to replace you. Okay, well, that's what I had for the
Ken,
chair's
you were
report.
muted. Ken was saying something, but he's muted.
Oh, Ken was saying something? You muted, Ken.
Ken, you,
No, I just said I'm gonna get my papers this week.
Okay, so Ken's going to get his papers, and we'll leave the other person to make a decision. Art is raising his hand.
Yeah, a lot of changes going on in my life now, and I'm not going to run again. I won't be able to really devote the time to it that I want.
I'm sorry to hear that, Art, and I'm gonna miss you, because Art has been my partner when we go to the annual school board meetings and all these other things, either driving or spending a lot of time to talk and chat. He's made a lot of contributions to the board, and he's a very silent person, but he does a lot of good things. So I want to thank you for spending the time with us that you spent with us.
yeah. Thank you, Art.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your service, Art.
Yes, thank you, Art.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, are there any other comments under the chair's report besides what I've stated so far? If not, then
I'd like to thank Rebecca for all the work she's done for the district, as well as the bus. I mean, she's been doing yeoman work for that bus bid, so I want to thank her publicly.
yes, that was always something that should have been done under the chair's report, is to thank the ones for preparing the information. I did it for Rob, and then thank Rebecca, and Sandy is always good that she has to do a lot of work trying to get these things out and forth to us, and getting everybody to critique them in the areas within the school district so that they'll be right when they get to us. Thank you very much. Now we'll go on to superintendent's report. Mike.
My turn. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I have, looks like 6 things I want to update you on. None of them are terribly long, but I do want to echo the board's thank you for the staff for working hard on getting our bus bids and our COVID coordination and all the things that have to happen in this strange new time, on top of our regular work that needs to get done. The first thing I'd like to talk to you about is update you on the flood progress. I have not had a chance to put up a gallery of photos like I said that I would for you. Things have just been busy here. But we have approval from the insurance company. Finally, the building has started construction on Friday, just this past Friday. They are making some quick work of the office area. It smells like fresh paint here today. I took a tour this morning, and they're really making some quick work of it. So we hope the office will be done maybe this week, early next week. There's still trim needs to be done and carpet and things like that as they make their way through the building, starting with the least damaged to the most damaged. And we hope that all the rooms will be back and habitable by late spring at the latest. But it's just based on construction timeframe and equipment and how long it takes to get things in. As you know, materials can be hard to come by nowadays, some materials anyway. So I'm happy to report that a lot of the ceiling tiles are already here. They're downstairs, all packed away. The things that can be ordered have already been ordered, and things that need to be ordered are ready to be ordered. We haven't ordered them yet because we have to get permission from all our sources. So that's our first thing on construction. I'll take questions afterwards, if that's okay. The second piece is we start our second semester in 2 weeks. It's hard to believe half the school year is over already. Semester 2 starts January 21st is the in-service day for our teachers. And so on January 24th is when we will see a batch of new students. Here at the Tech Center, we keep the majority of our students because they're with us for up to 2 years. However, we will have some new intro classes starting again next semester. So we will see some new freshmen and sophomores coming into the building next semester. I hope that everyone had a good holiday season and are staying healthy. As you know, we are continuing to deal with the effects of COVID and lastly, the latest Omicron variant and dealing with the nature of that. As you know, it's a moving target very quickly. And I just want to ask the public and the folks to continue to remain patient with us as guidance evolves and changes almost on a daily basis. We expect some major announcements here today or tomorrow regarding contact tracing and testing and other responsibilities that the school is currently participating in. For us to participate in those in the future. The state has spent an incredible amount of resources and put a lot of responsibilities on the schools for contact tracing and testing and everything COVID related. And if some of that went away, it wouldn't break our hearts, I can tell you that. It is a lot of extra work for people. And it's, we've gone from education to being healthcare workers, it feels like in the building, and people are frustrated, and I understand that. Our community is frustrated, our students are frustrated, our faculty and staff are frustrated, and then our parents are frustrated. They want their students in school. We want your students in school, and we want them here. And there's keys to that, like vaccination, wearing masks properly, social distancing, washing your hands, and staying home when you're sick. And those all sound like very simple things, but they're all important layers that we have to do here. And I'll tell you that mask compliance and wearing here at the Tech Center is incredibly high. We have had a daily effort from the day one to make sure that we tell students, over your nose, please. It's our common theme. And I would say, 98% of our students are 100% compliant. The couple that aren't, when they see us, they fix their mask and move on. It's just become part of our daily life here. No one likes it, but we're doing it. We are recommending that folks move to this type of mask, which is a KN95 mask and or a medical mask, which we have available here at school. They're recommending not so much using cloth masks anymore, but cloth masks are still acceptable. We do have a mask supply here at school for any adults and or students that need them. What we found this year is that many students simply pick up a new mask in the morning, fresh disposal mask each day. So they ensure they have a clean mask here at school, which is important. And so people are stationed at every door in the morning and in the hallways, and everyone's ensured that they are in compliance. And so it's just part of our daily life. I'd like to talk about the request that the 3 regional technical centers have had. I know Dane will be familiar with this, with the Budget Adjustment Act that we've asked to help offset our FTE counts that have gone down, not just ourselves, but Springfield Technical Center, which is River Valley, and Hannaford up in Middlebury. Our 3 centers, as you know, were not eligible for any ESSER funds due to a federal oversight. And we have asked the state legislature to make a small budget adjustment. all said and done, it's about $500,000. That's across the 3 different centers to help us shore up those lost FTEs. Our center is not in as bad a shape as a couple other centers are as far as enrollment goes, but we certainly took a small hit in enrollment. Speaking of enrollment, the next thing I want to talk to you about is this is recruitment season for us. Lisa and Nicole have started doing 10th grade tours with the English classes at the high school. And what they've done has been very creative and made it work. So they are visiting every 10th grade English class, at least in Mount Anthony to start with, to do their show about what we have here to offer. We are hopeful that we can still do our 8th grade tours at the end of February. I just don't know. Based on the current conditions, health conditions, we will not host it if it's unsafe to do so. If it is safe to do so, we will have our tours in person. If not, we'll have to come up with something different, such as virtual tours like we did in the past, and mail home packets and things like that. Not ideal, but it's a lot of effort, and this is our big season for recruiting, and it takes everyone's effort. We're trying new things this year. We're piloting some electronic applications. We're trying to integrate our new database more. We're just doing things different. And, a lot of our programs are full, as you know. So we expect another waiting list for many of our classes this year, which is good. Applications have already started coming in for next year. I know it seems early, it's only January, but historically students are signed up for classes by March or April at the latest. So this is the prime season where we'll have a good idea about what next year looks like, come April or May. We'll have a really good idea of enrollment. The difficulty of it, of course, all lies in COVID and Omicron and everything else that comes at us. That is the major driving factor of what we can and can't do. So just so you're aware. And it was brought up, advertising is expensive. Things we put in newspapers are very expensive, and folks are hard to come by for employment. We advertise in all sorts of sources. We use our School Spring. We have accounts set up in New York, which is the New York version of the Department of Labor, our local newspaper, News Guide, Manchester Journal, you name it. We advertise in a large area of people who could commute here to work, and that costs a lot of money for advertisement. And I'd be happy to talk to you about that sometime. But we try to get exposed as much as we can without spending a fortune for these advertisements. Overall, again, enrollment at the center is healthy. We're through our testing. We're going to start rewriting our Perkins plans for next year, and areas in which we see that we may need to have additional staffing, such as in the medical professions field. We've talked about the automotive professions, and there are programs that continue to have waiting lists a mile long. And there's a big nursing shortage that's been talked about nationwide, and our nursing program is one that's very full. So I imagine that we'll be having conversations here shortly about the potential to expanding nursing programs, et cetera, here in the future. Things just take time to happen, as you know, and we only have so much money to go on. So that's what I have for my list of things to talk with you about. I'm happy to answer any questions that are things that were on this list or things that were on the list that you'd like to ask me. I'm happy to try to answer those for you.
Are there any questions for Mike?
I have some.
Jackie?
Yes, I have questions. One is the governor spoke about home tests. And the second question was, will there be, I know he downplayed remote learning, but will it be a possibility even for a month or two?
I can't speak on behalf of the governor at this time. I know that the message that schools should remain open as much as possible for in-person instruction. I do expect, like I said, today or tomorrow, some more major announcements regarding testing and contact tracing and schools' responsibility. So, Jackie, I guess I would hold off on another day or two until I could answer that more thoroughly for you.
The Massachusetts. One second.
Go ahead, Ken.
The Massachusetts governor came out and said that school districts cannot count remote learning as a day of learning. You got to be in the classroom for 180 days.
Yeah, and thank you. I forgot about that portion, Ken, that Jackie had asked. Currently, Vermont is not allowing remote learning for remote snow days or things like that. Could it change? Certainly, the AOE could change their mind on that. And if they do, we'll be ready to make that happen. Asher?
Does Southwest Tech or MAU have any plans to COVID test faculty and or students?
I can't speak for MAU. For Southwest Tech, we have been testing faculty through the state's PCR testing program for the last several weeks. It's my understanding that program could go away very shortly. But to answer your question, Asher, we have been testing for several weeks. I think as early as maybe end of October for our staff, not students, but for staff. And again, I think that's going away here shortly anyway.
And is that once a week? And if it does go away, will there be plans to reinstate it if the cases do not stop surging?
So the testing, great questions, first of all. The testing program is run by the Department of Health and the Agency of Education. That's where we get all of our supplies from. And so we are being told that supplies are incredibly short or non-existent anymore. And the supplies that we have are what we're going to have for the time being. But again, it's indicating that testing may be going away. I'll know more today or tomorrow. And as you've read in the news, more going towards the self-administered tests rather than these PCR tests that we take here at school. Just because of the short amount of turnaround time, the amount of time it takes staff to do all this testing and the reporting features, it's definitely a lot of extra work that is just, I don't know if it's helping us or not, to be quite honest with you. I don't know if our weekly testing, has picked up cases or hasn't picked up cases, other than making folks feel comfortable here at school. There is a 2-day turnaround time with that, and it's very good testing, but it's not instant testing, and it does take time. And that's part of the issue, as you all know, with this Omicron variant, is that the testing really isn't that effective as far as waiting for 2 or 3 days to get your results. It's just not effective.
All right, I want to thank everybody. Just remind everybody it's 2 minutes past the 1 hour meeting time we normally allot. And if you have some other questions, we'll be more than happy to entertain them. On the others, there are no other items that I would like to discuss with the board at this particular time. And so it's 11:02. And if not, I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion from Fran to adjourn. Mike Cutler raised the peace sign for that. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anybody abstaining? Until we meet again.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Take
See you
care.
later.